Hello, everyone. This is Learning League, and I will be your host, Do Master Flash. And we're going to be talking about the conditions that make a cheater recall good in your games. And we're even going to go through a game to kind of see how each impacts the end result of the game. So, first, I wanted to make sure to put these up at the beginning so people know what to look for as we go through the replay. The conditions for a good cheater recall. The first is if you're in a bad matchup. I find this is the most effective time to use a good cheater recall because when you have a bad matchup, a cheater recall gives you the ability to get out of lane for the first three levels of the game, which are often the most dangerous for champions in bad matchups. It also gives you the ability to get more items at specific times that you might need in terms of survivability or scaling. The second is the jungler starting topside. This is because when the jungler starts topside, there is no chance of you getting a positive gank. There's only a chance of the enemy jungler coming to you. So if your jungler starts topside, if you can get a cheater recall off, you can save yourself from the opponent jungler. The third is the ability to push. Now, this is going to depend on your champion, but you need to have a champion that has the ability to make a cheater recall. Some champions are so weak in landing phase or don't have the pushing power that it makes it extremely impractical to do a cheater recall. And then the fourth is more minions than your opponent. Now, this is something that you will have to do in game as you're trying to set up a cheater recall, but this is just an indication, a last indication that you will know means that you can get a good cheater recall off. So now that we have these four on the table, let's talk about a game that I played pretty recently. Now, I wasn't a superhero in this game or anything like that, but this is a good way of understanding the cheater recall. So first, let's talk about the bad matchup. Sion into Camille is one of Sion's worst matchups because of Camille true damage. And even though it's better than before because of the recent buffs to Sion, it's still very challenging for Sion. So that's number one. Number two, we have our Volibear starting on the bot side of the map. So that's not very good in terms of our ability to cheater because that means that Volibear might not want to gank top and we won't be available for that gank. The third situation is, let me go back to my list just to make sure, the ability to push is really important, right? And we don't know if we're going to get the ability to push, but we know for certain that Sion has a very strong pushing potential as long as he doesn't die, which is, sometimes very improbable. So let's watch this lane play out. And again, as you can see, I'm hitting minions right off the bat because if I have any chance of getting a cheater recall off, I need to start pushing the minions. You want to make sure to have by wave two, and we see as wave two is coming in here, you want to have at least like 2 to 3 minions up on your opponent because then you can ignore your opponent a lot of the times and just focus on pushing the wave. Again, when you're playing the cheater recall, you want to avoid hitting her as much as possible. Now, in this example of the cheater recall, I'm even pushing a bit too quickly. So if I pushed a little less hard, it would be even more advantageous because Camille could have just let that crash, but she didn't let it crash. So we're at wave three. So this is when you hard shove the lane. You have to get this wave into tower or else you're screwed. They're just going to camp you. So as we see, Amumu is skipping his red buff right here. If you see in the bottom left corner, he is skipping his red buff in order to gank me. But the cheater recall means I've already gotten out and he can't actually get me. And he just barely misses me. Although there are going to be other examples in which this is a little less close, right? Amumu almost got me, but it still shows the principle of the fact that Amumu only did 4 camps here and still wasn't able to get me because I cheater recalled within the first 3 minutes. Now, Camille has her wave at her tower. I'm going to come back with, in this game, I came back with a Cull. And that's a cull up on my opponent, even in a bad matchup. So you get the absolute most farm. It's 19 to 10. I've completely dodged this gank that is now going to really, like, in a high elo game, this is game ruining. Skipping your red buff to go top as a Mumu. I mean, he's going to be so far behind Volley, except Volley did a similar thing, but that's beside the point. And then as you see, we're going to watch Camille. She's going to have to hit these minions, right? And she's going to have to try and push as fast as possible um, in order to try and counter this, because now she's down a cull. And the whole point of Camille to sign is that you can punish this really early because of how strong Camille true damage is. But now I didn't give her the chance. And then when we get to this point, right, in the cheater recall, so after you've done wave 1, 2, and 3, you're going to have to understand that all Camille wants to do is push in and back herself, because then that would even the trade. So you have two options in a cheater recall. Either you can try and trim this wave as fast as possible, because trimming the wave means that you have more control over it and Camille can't push in. Or you can let her push in and just take the wave at your tower. Even if she gets this push off, I would argue it's still better for the cheater recaller, because you get the extra cull and you get to bypass the first at least four levels of the game, which is really impactful in bad matchups. But the second option is what I take, which is the trying to trim the minions option and trying to make sure that she can't back with an advantage. And I won't show you the whole game because this was just about cheater recalling, but this is the basics, and this just got me out of the first four levels with a 7 CS lead on a bad matchup. So that's really the big advantage to cheater recalling there.